Hi everyone, this is Dan from Zelda Historia with part 1 of my guide to the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Since this is my first video, I thought it'd be a good idea to give some commentary about this game, but also about the goal of this channel and where I'm going to go with it in the future. So, to start off, this channel is called Zelda Historia because I plan to do a game guide to every Zelda game and organize them chronologically according to the official Nintendo timeline that's been released recently. That way people can get a good feel for the story of Zelda, as well as get game advice if they're playing the game themselves. Technically, there are a few games that occur before Ocarina of Time, which I'm going to be showing you now, but I thought I'd start here for a couple reasons. So first, this was my first 3D Zelda game, so it's kind of near and dear to me, and it's one I've played a lot, so I'm relatively good at it. I haven't actually beaten Skyward Sword yet. I'm a little bit behind, I'll admit, and I haven't beaten A Link Between Worlds either. So, those ones I am going to have to practice a little bit before I get going on them as well. Second, it works with my recording stuff a little better, while some of the older games don't, and I'm trying to avoid pointing a camera at the screen too often, because I know videos don't really quite as well when people do that on YouTube, as I've seen myself, so I'm going to be trying to just record it straight from the TV whenever possible. Third, I don't really have a good way to record handheld games yet either, so I chose to record this version of the game rather than the 3DS version that came out recently that has better graphics. However, I know that the 3DS game along with the N64 game, the GameCube version I'm playing right now, and the Wii Virtual Console version all pretty much play the same, so these videos can be used as a guide to any of those games. Anyway, I wanted to talk a bit more about this game in particular while we're still getting into the meat of the game, and I'm just clicking A to scroll through text right now and just some videos playing at the moment. Ocarina of Time originally came out for the N64 in 1998 and was a really popular, best-selling game. It's often considered one of the best games ever made, in fact, and I think for the most part it holds up well today, despite the pretty awful graphics you're looking at right now. It introduced a targeting system to Zelda, which made battles more intense and easier to play in a 3D environment, and that concept has been applied to lots of other games since then. As I just mentioned, it has since been ported to the GameCube, the Wii, and the 3DS because it's so popular, and hopefully you'll see why in these videos. So, now we're just going to be watching a little bit more of the introduction to the game, where, you're going to see that Link is currently in his house in Kokiri Forest, which is just where the game starts, and as you're seeing now, we're watching the Great Deku Tree, telling your annoying guide for the rest of the game, Navi, that she needs to go tell Link about his great destiny that he has coming for him. So, in a minute here, we're going to be getting into the introduction. Navi's just got to fly over to Link, so we're seeing this in first person. While we're waiting on that, though, I thought I'd just tell you that while, in the beginning here, you're going to be exploring Kokiri Forest a little bit, and this is a good time to kind of get used to the controls of the game. That's something good about Ocarina of Time, I think, is that it kind of eases you into it, but then starts becoming more challenging. And it also, at the same time, though, it doesn't really hold your hand as much as more recent games often do. It doesn't just kind of leave you on your own like the original Zelda does, but it also kind of lets you explore a bit more, kind of leaves the game up to you, because in this next part, Link is going to have to go find a sword and shield, and it doesn't give you too much guidance on that, because that character that Navi flew through his legs was Mido, and he doesn't let you through until you've equipped a sword and shield. So, as I was kind of saying, this is a good time to get used to the controls, so I thought I'd kind of go over those for you if you're new to this game. So, the control stick, regardless of what version you're playing, is how you're going to control Link. So that's what I'm going to be doing, moving out of the house here. And then Z or L, whichever one you've got your left finger on, depending on if it's N64 or a different console, is how you target things, which is important for talking to people, but especially when you're fighting enemies. A is the action button, which is how I'm scrolling through text, and then it's also how I roll. You can see that the green button up top is changing to show what will happen if I click the A button. And B will be the sword button in, a minute here once I get a sword. R is the shield button, again, once I equip the shield. Start is pause, so I can scroll through the menus to equip items. And then to equip, items other than the sword and shield, they're actually different buttons, kind of depending on which version you're playing. So on the N64, there were actually 4 different C buttons, and left, right, and down were the ones you could equip items to. If you're playing on GameCube, the C stick does the same function, but you can also use X, Y, and Z to equip items if you'd like to use buttons, which I think is a little easier. And then if you're on the 3DS, you can use X, Y, and then there are 2 buttons on the touch screen where you can equip items. So that kind of gives you a couple options there as well. And something else to keep in mind about the A button is it does a lot of different things for you. If you're targeting something, for example, it actually changes what you can do with it. So, for example, if you're targeting something and then moving backwards and hit A, Link will do a backflip, and if you're moving to the side and hit A, he'll jump sideways. So it kind of has a lot of different functions, as you're going to see. Like once I go to one of these rocks, I hit A to throw the rocks. Again, it's showing me what will happen if I do it in the top right corner of the screen right now. And I'm noticing kind of as I'm playing this, by the way, that some of the screen is cut off. I didn't really notice that when I was recording it, so apologies for that. I'm actually going to change a setting about that in a minute, like in a couple videos, so you'll be able to see the rest of the screen, how many rupees I have and everything. So now, obviously, I'm exploring, but if you don't know where I'm going, this is actually where you find the sword. And as far as I know, nobody really gives you any advice as to where the sword is, so again, this is Ocarina of Time encouraging you to explore a little bit on your own. And I encourage you to go get the sword before the shield, because there are some rupees you can get on the way, as you're seeing right now. And here we go. So you're getting the Kokiri Sword. Since you're like 10 years old, it's kind of more like a knife, I guess, but it's pretty tiny, as you can see. Now the only other thing, once I equip this item, click A to equip things on that screen. Once I equip that, the only other thing we have to do is get 40 rupees to go get the Kokiri, or the Deku Shield. You can get those rupees anywhere, by the way. I'm just showing you kind of a quick way to do it, which will keep this video a little shorter and hopefully help you out if you haven't played this game before. So, again, here's a good opportunity. I know that a lot of people actually struggle to just run in a pretty straight line, like I did myself when I was first playing this game, so this is a good opportunity to practice that a little. Targeting is a good way to line things up as well, so you're not trying to run sideways on the screen, which will probably just make it harder on you. And also this house actually has some treasure chests in it, because Link likes to steal from people. It's kind of how he rolls, so we'll just go ahead and steal their money and recovery heart here. Something else I just figure I should let you know now. Obviously I'm giving a lot of commentary and kind of some introductory stuff this video, but in future I probably won't talk the entire video. I only really want to like get the essentials down so you kind of know what's going on in the video, giving whatever advice I can. You can buy Deku Nuts and Deku Seeds here, for example, but we're actually going to get those in this first level that's coming up, so don't worry about buying those. And there's not really much that's done damage to you yet, so getting a recovery heart is kind of unnecessary. So, once we equip the Deku Shield here, we can go talk to Mido and get into the Deku Tree. So that's the first level. And so for future reference, I'm going to be posting at least a video a week from here on out. So please like my videos, comment on any thoughts or questions you have about them. Any advice you have, is much appreciated. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of my guide. I'd really appreciate it. You can kind of give the word out that I'm starting this channel. And go to talk to Mido, the most annoying Kokiri there is. And now we're almost to the Deku Tree. This is where I'm going to be cutting off this video. So your first enemy you're going to be fighting is a Deku Baba, like you're seeing right now, which drop Deku sticks in this case. They're really easy, of course. They don't really move, so you can just target them and chop them. Again, the sort of thing where Ocarina of Time eases you into it, but is ultimately going to get pretty challenging toward the end of the game, which I think is kind of a good balance. And really, I've only played, this video's 13 minutes long, I've only played a little while, and you're already jumping into the first level, so now that you've kind of gotten accustomed to the controls, it just throws you right in, so that's something I think a lot of people like about it. It's kind of got a good balance of story and gameplay as well. Alright, and this is the end of the video. I'm going to wrap this up, and I'll have a video of the first level coming up pretty soon, so thanks for watching.